going to do is just kind of discuss the current climate and this moment in time, and kind of go through the emotional, energetic concerns with what is going on in our world at the moment, as well as kind of talking about what we're each doing personally and professionally within this time. And I think we all have, we're all in the holistic field. Everybody probably on here knows us. And then we will just kind of go through there. If y'all want to, Arlene, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Dr. Arlene Diamco. I'm an integrative physician, pediatrician, and cranial osteopath. And I also have my show on UI Media Network, which is the Multidimensional MD. And I love looking at things from a multidimensional perspective, which includes mind, body, and spirit, and some of what we're going to be talking about here today. So to kind of fill in some gaps of what might not be getting addressed right now in mainstream media.
And my name is Shannon Gowland. I'm an herbalist. I focus on plant medicine and earth medicine. I'm also a Qigong instructor and a health and wellness nutrition coach as well. And so my website is seedsofwellnesscenter.com. I also run a herbal school and food therapy chef program. And so I'm looking forward to discussing the emotional and energetic impact of what this is having on us as humans and spiritual energetic beings, and kind of letting you know kind of what we're doing as a family here as well. Amy?
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Amy Dayries. I have a website called wholehealingdental.com. I have a dental practice in Roswell, Georgia, not too far from Shannon Gowan and Arlene Diamco's offices. And I have had a healing show called the Whole Healing Radio Show on the UI Media Network, is similar to Dr. Arlene. And for the last few years, I've called myself an integrative dentist. I do a lot of holistic dental approaches. I also speak to a lot of patients about nutrition, diet, to coincide with health, breathing exercises. We do a lot of sleep appliances. We really take a whole patient approach through the oral cavity towards a better, healthy lifestyle at our office. So I'm here to try to fill in gaps about the oral health aspects and what you can do through your oral health to promote your whole body health and lower inflammation, which is going to help you fight the viral load that you might encounter.
Thank you. Carrie?
Yes, I'm just unmute here. So hi, I'm Carrie Hamilton. Nice to see you all and grateful to be a part of this and share this space. I have a practice called XO Wellness, and I'm also in practice with Dr. Diamco in Atlanta and get to see patients there as a classical homeopath. My journey has been in energy medicine, which has incorporated the homeopathy and chakra-based energy healing, as well as gem and light and flower essences. And so always tapping into the aspect of frequencies of healing through light and dowsing and ultimately remedies. So homeopathy is definitely one of the core pillars of my practice. Also offer a guided holistic type counseling that incorporates homeopathy and flower essences and whatever's called and needed at that time. So I'm really grateful to be here and experiencing all that's going on, and grateful to be with this beautiful group of women and everybody that's been called to join us. So thank you, Shannon, for bringing this together.
Oh, thank you, Carrie. I'm so happy we were all able to come together. And if everybody could please double check and mute. We're getting some feedback. And I believe that, let's see, someone just made the comment that if we could, just to kind of focus on who's talking, is Carrie, Amy, and Arlene. If whoever's talking, everybody else will mute. I think that's what Amy's doing right now.
Okay.
So we'll do that. That way folks can see who's speaking. So that'll be great. I think that one of the, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I was thinking that maybe we would touch on, kind of go through some of the new emotions that are coming up right now, with what's in place. I mean, we're experiencing things that have not been experienced in 100 years or more where we are at this time. So there's a lot of fear, worry, anxiety that can come up with this, and kind of look into those impacts as far as nourishing certain body systems that those can impact. Because that's going to be something that we'll see deficiencies in coming up after we're through the other side of this, as far as with the kidneys and the liver, and being mindful of that. And personally, I think one of the most important things during this time is, if you are where you have a clean space to walk barefoot outside to ground, to discharge some of those extra positive ions, as well as meditation, I think that's one of the top things you can start to do right away. And so I think that would be my first suggestion on that, and I'm sure that everybody else can. I'll let you guys say who wants to add on to that. Amy?
Thank you. I'd like to add on to that. Every living entity and non-entity has an energetic field, and we're finding this out more and more. It's being proven and reproven through quantum physics and energetic medicine, which I'm sure Carrie and Arlene will both speak on as well. But what we want to do is check our own energy. The meditation supports that, what you were saying, Shannon. It gets you more grounded into yourself, into your heart place. And I want people, when they wake up in the morning, to consider what they look forward to experiencing in the day to come. And at the end of the day, a good exercise is to recap what was good about today, and try to find something each day to laugh about, and adopt goals for your day. Try to work off your goal list so you feel a sense of accomplishment, especially since everything is cattywampus right now. A lot of people are spending time at home. These things are going to help keep you grounded. And what we are understanding is this virus is attacking lungs. So we want to offer things that are going to support the lung health. And one of those things is sleep. We talk a lot about sleep in our practice. In traditional Chinese medicine, they talk about inflammatory pathways being cleared between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. and for the lung health to be supported between 3 and 5 a.m. So I hope everyone's doing good practices to try to get sleepy at night before they go to bed. And then I want to later in this talk about breathing through your nose instead of mouth breathing. Thank you.
So what I'm seeing is that, can you hear me? Okay. What I'm seeing is that this coronavirus, COVID-19, it has its own vibrational pattern to it, its own frequency. And as we talk about it, and then especially when we're getting into like the fear mode of it, reading about it in the news and everything, what I'm seeing in people is that their diaphragms are tightening up, their breathing starts to get more shallow, and it's like, oh, the throat starts to get a little sore. It's like they're already feeling the symptoms of the virus, even though they're not ill with it yet. And that's a really important to know. I mean, you may say, oh, it's just psychosomatic, but it has a very big impact on your whole energy field, your whole body, because if you get sick in that state, then you're way more vulnerable than if you're letting everything like free flow. We see this with other things. Like if you start talking about lice, it's like your head automatically starts itching. So this is not just, with coronavirus, this is with anything really. But I would like to bring it up because I want everyone to be aware of it, to be conscious of it. Because if you are, you can recognize the pattern. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of, just like shaking it off a little bit, just to kind of shake up your field and maybe shake off any static there. And then what I've been doing, because everyone's like, well, how are you getting through this, is really moment to moment.
Is it okay if I listen to this? Yeah.
helping you bring you back to the present. You get all that static you feel, just shake it off, move your body, be aware of it, and then it will start to shift just with your awareness. And then bring yourself back to the present moment. All you need to know is, what do you need to be right now? What do you need to do at this moment? It's easier to do when you can bring yourself back down, kind of ground yourself, get out of the static field, and then start from there. And that's what I'm doing at home. That's what I'm doing with my work. I don't need to even plan for tomorrow, next week, next month. There's none of that. And this is absolutely amazing, because when in your life have you had this opportunity to live moment to moment? And it's such an amazing practice.
Hey, that is so right, Arlene. I'm going to go through real quick because we're getting a lot of noise, and I'm just going to ask certain people who are not muted yet to please mute your phone, because we're getting some doors and dogs in here. Let's see, Jennifer Needham, if you could please mute your phone. Let's see here. Kimberly Oakley, if you could please mute your phone as well. And as you join, please just mute. Let's see here. And then I've got a couple of people on phone. If you could just mute your phones as well. We've got, just put your phone on mute. I've got Stephanie and Chrissy, and a number ending in 8441. If you guys could all just mute, that would be wonderful. And I will wind up, let's see here. Okay. So sorry about that, Carrie. If you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Carrie Hamilton here. And yeah, just echoing on that idea, people hear about grounding a lot. Like Shannon was saying, actually going out with your bare feet. It's not just this esoteric concept. It actually is a very scientific effect on the body that's really powerful. And one thing that's really helped me right now is connecting with nature. I know that seems so basic, and some of us do it every day, but there's something that's available right now that hasn't been available before. And we're all seeing this with dolphins showing up in Italy and the birds chirping differently, and the earth is really getting to have a huge exhale and healing. And if we can find a way to connect with that in those moments and be reminded that things are continuing and things are flowing, to really trust in a process that's happening, that can really help to bring us back into the moment and really feel joy, to really feel that something beautiful is occurring. Because I know we're all having very different experiences. Some of us are getting to sleep a bit longer and have a break from our stressful life. Others of us are much more ramped up as we're having to deal with children at home and more conference calls and more demands. And some of us are having challenges financially that are also overwhelming. And so I encourage everyone also to allow them to feel everything that they're feeling. This, from my perspective, this is not a time to fake it till you make it. Kind of just push through, because as this evolves, it's going to continue to change. So really take advantage of those moments where there is a stillness and there is a quiet and there is a moment to cry or to laugh or to celebrate. Because a lot of what I see in my sessions with clients is, I just don't have time to deal with that right now. That would be great. I would love to address that occurred in my childhood, or this challenge I'm having with my spouse, but there's just not time. And I invite people that there is an opportunity being offered right now to really address some things that there hasn't been space for, and to feel supported, because we as the planet are truly having an experience together in a way that we've never had before. So there's a deep awareness of this oneness. And so in this, the noise of the news or fears or other things going on, there's also an opportunity to tap into that reality that we are all connected and we're all supporting each other and we're all going through a similar thing. And that deep sense of tribe and community is so present right now. So I encourage you, as a lot of you are making WhatsApp groups, to talk to your friends and family, or reach out to neighbors that maybe you didn't know that you can check in on over phone or mail, or even through distancing, just to feel that connection. So I'm definitely seeing that help with clients, and for myself and my family to be present for that.
I think that's, you know, you made a good point, Carrie, about the earth is exhaling, which is so true. And if we think back before, we used to be connected to the earth's biorhythms, and we were connected more to our own circadian rhythm. We used to walk barefoot more. We used to go to sleep when the sun went down and woke up when the sun came up. And we had our hands in the dirt more, and we were connected. And one of the things that's so amazing about our earth is that the trees communicate to one another. Doesn't matter where they are, they're communicating. Plants are communicating with one another. You see that in farming, where if a crop of squash gets infected with the mildew, it will communicate to another area where squash is growing, to let it know that it needs to build up its immune and its defenses. And those all of those phytochemicals that the plants make in response to stress, environmental stress, is the medicine for us. And that's where food as medicine actually comes from. We've gotten so much away from the earth and away from planting in the earth and actually not using harmful chemicals. We're not doing biodynamics. It's, you know, it's sprays and controlled, and the water's controlled, and now we're moving into hydroponics, and the light is controlled. Those plants have no more stress, so they're no longer producing medicine for us. And that's one of the things to really be aware of, is what you're putting into your body at this time. We don't want things that doesn't serve us. We want things that are going to serve us, that are going to help us through this time, because they're put here on earth for a reason. And we need to reconnect to that energy, because the more we put our hands in the earth, the more that we're not only healing the earth, but the earth is healing us. And I think that's important to bring back to the forefront of getting to know earth more and being aware of how these things are communicating. When my kids were little, one of the things I told them is that if you can hear the hummingbird, you can hear the rose. And I think that's very important, to get back and to touch with Earth's energy.
And this takes a lot of courage, because, you know, what's going on in the world really brings up a lot of people's old patterns and stuckness. It was going to trigger every single thing that's left and stuck. So have courage, and don't feel like there's something wrong with you if it's triggering all different aspects. And then for your kids as well, just know they're going through the same thing, and they're going to go through certain triggers. So what, you know, Carrie and Shannon were saying, just like being able to step into that stillness and acknowledge your own emotions, which really, if you're not used to doing it, takes a lot of courage, and you can't fake it. It's time to be really authentic with who you are. And as we collectively do that, it's just like the plant world, where all the trees are kind of holding hands underneath the ground with their root system. It's like that secret language of trees. Love that book. Well, we get to start to do the same. So as every person becomes more and more aware of their own self, and be able to kind of like address that shadow part of themselves, maybe stuff they don't like, maybe they don't, you know, that you're getting triggered, so maybe you might be angry, sad, or upset. It's okay. It's like stuff that just needs to come up and out, and to find like nourishing ways to do that, whether it's just taking a walk or taking some time to meditate, do yoga, tai chi, whatever it is for you. I saw something that Charlie Goldsmith said the other day, which I really loved, because it was such a great example of you don't have to be stuck. And he said that when you hear a funny joke, you laugh right away and you have this great reaction, but then you hear it like 10 times, and yeah, it might still be funny, but it's not like you're stuck in this constant state of like, I can't stop laughing. I can't do anything else because I can't stop laughing because that joke is so funny. So just because we're in a stress, like everything's like really stressful right now, does not mean you have to stay in a stress state. But in order to get out of it, you have to be really honest with yourself. And that can be hard, but I would say everyone just go for it. Now is the time. Got nothing else to do.
That'll also help get rid of those negative energies and thoughts that you've been stuffing down in and creating additional inflammation in the body. So get rid of them.
Yeah, you could just dance it out like 5 minutes a day, just move the body, get it out, and while being aware of what you're feeling. There's simple ways that you can really, really address it. It can be hard, but it doesn't have to be.
We like writing it on paper. If it's something that doesn't serve you, writing it on paper and then burning it and sending it away, and don't go down the what ifs, because you're at this moment and there's not a what if. You can't get that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we had a good conversation with my friends here about that not too long ago, of really differentiate what you're experiencing in your life versus what we're hearing on the news and hearing in other places, because we are at an amazing time of communication like no other. But one very common word I'm sure we're all hearing is overwhelm. And remember to get in touch with what's happening in your immediate environment. And I think that's been another beautiful thing that's occurred with the social distancing, is that we're getting to focus on I'll say again, like our tribe and our community. Our group got smaller for right now, and balancing that with the feelings of isolation, of course, but that recognize, okay, I'm hearing that this and this and this is going on, but what am I actually experiencing in my community? Because for me, I'm seeing connections with friends in a deeper way. I'm seeing vulnerability of openness in a very loving way, a lot of heart opening. There's a gentleness that's also shifted. And again, that aspect of we're all having the same experience. How often it's never occurred in this way. And so there's actual connecting to our humanness and our common vulnerability. So I really encourage people to step back and say, well, what's happening for me here right now? And we can have compassion for the suffering of others, and we can be aware of what's going on so we know what's occurring as it evolves. But it's really important to differentiate that with what's happening right here that I can connect with and feel positive about. Because back to what you guys were talking about, the inflammation, decreasing that inflammation happens through connecting with our loved ones and doing that self-care. And this is a really great time to employ that metaphor of the airplane oxygen mask that I think a lot of us know well, where they tell you put your oxygen mask on first before you do on the child next to you or the person that needs help. That selfishness, but really self-care that's occurring right now is so essential. That's helping us to go inward. And I love it that people are more aware about what foods should I be eating? What does decrease inflammation? What's not helping me? Maybe, wow, I'm seeing the difference with the earth not being congested by smoke. Maybe this is a chance to quit smoking because I can do something positive for my body. So I think keeping it in those smaller bites for yourself so that we're not constantly overwhelmed. Because I absolutely, in that first week, just felt myself so ramped up, watching every conference, staying up to date on what's happening in the homeopathic community and what remedies are working, what's not working. And then I realized I kind of had to pull back and really ground myself. And it took some time. It really took some time, and me allowing myself to feel it, to then get back into my own body and breathe and do that self-care. So that can be so beneficial.
So I'd like to talk about breathing. And I was also going to mention, for me, connecting with the earth. I've been growing some seedlings. That just helps me feel happy. And if you don't have seeds at home, if you have any organic produce, a lot of times if you bury just a little bit of it, it'll come up with something, and it's a good time to compost. And that's really simple to do. Just anything that's biodegradable, dig a hole and start putting it in there. And turn it over. It helps replenish the soil. And as you develop more plants in your environment, you'll attract more bees and butterflies and things that help pollinate things and grow more. It's a ripple effect. Everything grows when you start doing something that's positive that feeds into something else. And so you can start with yourself. So I think sometimes practical solutions, because we can get really up in our head with all of this. So a really simple way to help ground yourself is to take a deep breath. So I thought we could all do that together. So we're going to do something called Buteyko breathing. And Dr. Buteyko was a Ukrainian physician in the earlier part of the 20th century and did a lot of research on ratios of carbon dioxide, oxygen, and nitric oxide, and realized that when we didn't have enough carbon dioxide in our body, one of our body's reactions to that was we would clog up our nostrils. And we want to hold on to at least 6% carbon dioxide. And you can do that, you can facilitate that by training yourself to breathe through your nose. And then when you go to sleep at night, if you realize you have a habit of breathing through your mouth, maybe you consider taping your mouth closed, or taping your nostrils maybe a little bit more flared. There's nasal strips on the market, but just about any sort of Band-Aid tape will work on your mouth if you don't have an opportunity to go to the store like most of us don't right now. But let's take a deep breath. So we want to inhale on the count of 6. 1, and when you inhale, you want to feel your rib cage, especially the last 2 ribs, expand about 1 inch on each side, because most of your blood in your lung area is going to be more focused towards the lower lobes of your lungs. And if you just breathe through your intercostal muscles, which is the upper part, you're not going to be really utilizing your lung tissue. This is going to ramp up your parasympathetic nervous system. That's what this deep breathing is going to do for you and help you feel so much calmer. So let's take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now let's hold it till 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then let's exhale as slowly as you can. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's do it again. Breathe through your nose one more time. Inhaling and exhaling. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold it to 7 if you can. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now exhale to the count of 8 if you can. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can keep going, of course, but what I want you to do is remember, you can start doing this at any moment, at any time, wherever you are. And it will open up your nasal passages. It will actually promote your parasympathetic nervous system to kick on, and you're going to be promoting your overall health.
I think one of the things that's amazing. Thank you, Amy. Breathing is so important for oxygen in the cells and overall health. And if you have a hard time and not sure if you're breathing correctly, doing abdominal breath work, put your hand on your belly, lay down at night, and see if your chest is raising or your belly's raising. So make sure you're not shallow breathing and your chest is not raising. There's a lot of things online on that. One of the things that we were talking about a lot about was inflammation and the things that can create inflammation in the body, everything from our thoughts, our lifestyles, to what we put in our body and on our body, as well as I think Amy's going to touch on our dental care and our oral hygiene and how that also can create inflammation. And one of the reasons why that's so important is that we don't have a lot of research on this virus. Things that are coming out are due to reaction. This isn't something that anybody is able to plan on. Research is happening as we are in this moment. The things that we are seeing is that this virus creates a lot of PLA2. And that is inflammation. It's the same thing that's created if you get stung by a bee, if you get bit by a snake, or bit by a spider. You get a lot of, that's what causes the pain and the inflammation. So some of the things that we're seeing is if we could inhibit, close off that PLA2, then we may be able to prevent, and this is all, there's no research to this. There is no, that says this would work. But there's the thought and some things coming out of China, out of different researchers. I believe that Dr. William Shaw was talking about it as well, that if we could inhibit PLA2, we could help prevent the replication. So there are certain things certain herbs that we can talk about a little bit more in detail, but such as ginkgo, as well as gotu kola, CDP choline, are some inhibitors of PLA2. One thing to remember, anything that we are talking about in this panel discussion, we're not promoting, we're not advising, and it is not medical advice. Every single person on this call is an individual, and every person on this call may have different health conditions, issues, be on different medications. So please know that don't just start taking any of the herbs or supplements that we're discussing until you make sure it's safe for you with someone who can advise you appropriately. What we're doing personally for our family is we are using a nebulizer, and we're using oregano oil daily with inhalations, and we're gargling with salt water with clove oil, is what we're doing additional to just immune boosting herbs. And I think that's the important thing, is to know that you can keep your body healthy by eating good food, clean food, fresh, and avoiding processed foods and food. When I say good and bad, everything that we put in our body and surround ourselves and interact with has an energy to it, and that energy attaches to our body. So meaning, if you go out and you eat a hamburger that's made from meat from a factory farm raised cow that never saw daylight, the stress hormones are not only extremely high, but also that energy from that hamburger is going to attach to your body. The same way as if you're a vegetarian or vegan and you eat something that is grown with love and grown using biodynamic methods versus something that is grown in a factory farm setting and sprayed. So that's important to know, is how that's attaching to your body and reducing the inflammation. So I think that's basically what we're doing, along with meditation, with qigong, with deep breathing exercises, and being open and communicating our feelings with one another, which I think is very important to talk about during this time as well.
Well, I'm going to be talking to some physicians. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
What I've been trying to teach a lot of people is how to do a simple osteopathic technique called lymph pumping, and I'm happy to share the link. I did a video for that. I would love to teach that to physicians. I know there's some people in healthcare on this call, on this chat. So if you are interested in it, I'm just doing free Zoom teaching, and I'll see if we can help pass on this knowledge over Zoom. But it's very simple. The lymphatic system is often ignored in medicine, but it is going to be helping you drain that inflammation. And you can think about the lymph system like backed up plumbing. So it works like a siphon. So say you're trying to drain the fish tank and you put the tube in the fish tank, then you start pumping it. As soon as the water starts flowing, you don't have to keep pumping. It's already flowing. But if there's a kink in the tube, the whole thing either starts to become sluggish, if it's a little bit of movement still, or shut off altogether. So the lymph system is similar. So we want to be able to keep that flow, that lymph flow in the body. And if you're stressed and you've got inflammation, you've already got lymph congestion in the body. And I've taught many parents how to feel it. It is amazing what people can learn how to feel in just a few minutes, how to feel congestion around, and how to start like doing just a little vibration to help move it. And they can feel it drain, and the person, the kid, that maybe it's a parent kid, can also give some feedback like, oh yeah, I feel something moving. It's absolutely amazing. But if you haven't done that before, please take a look at the video, because I want everyone to keep their bodies flowing. The health is always in the flow. And so this is, yes, this is just the lymph system, but it is just one that right now is really important, because the way COVID-19 works and just creating so much inflammation in the body, like, keep things in the flow. And rather you do that sooner than later, because I feel that we could probably save more lives doing that, probably keep some people off of the intubator, off of ventilators. So the more people that know how to do this, we could do so much. It would be incredible. My kids can do it. So if my kids can do it, you can do it. My 14-year-old did it, and she was shadowing me, and this boy had, before coronavirus, he had swollen lymph glands here in his neck. So I taught her how to do some lymph pumping, and she did it, and she could feel it. I said, when it feels better, let me know. And she's like, okay, I'm all done. I was like, well, then why don't you check his glands again? And they were back to normal. And I mean, that's amazing. I was like, wow, now you know more about how to help the lymph drain than most physicians do, which is not trying to, make fun of the medical profession. I'm just saying that we're not trained to do that through regular residency and medical school, but we could. So we could change this, and this is part of my mission, is just to like help get some of these really easy, gentle ways that can make huge impact on health and healing into mainstream medicine. And once you see it work, there's really no going back. The parents that have learned how to do it, that eyes just pop open like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I can do this. Yes, you can.
And you're absolutely right. I have my kids do it too. So they know how to do it. And that's one of the things that as soon as they feel like they're getting sick, or my daughter, she's so self-aware, she will tell me, she's like, I have a swollen lymph node. And she kind of uses this against me, because she asked me, she goes, I need my massage, Mom. But I'm like, you know how to do it yourself. You can do it.
There's a question about, is lymphatic pumping similar to dry brushing? There's many things that can be helpful to the lymph system. So dry brushing absolutely would be great too. This is different and works a little more directly on the lymph, but dry brushing, absolutely, if you know how to do that, I would go ahead and do that. I'll put the link in the comments.
And I think also people have rebounders like trampolines, bouncing, and also some of these shake machines that people have that are popular now can also be beneficial. So I think definitely learning this technique and having those tools, that's so helpful to know about moving the lymph throughout, because that congestion, that blocking up of the plumbing, like you said, when you unblock that, really allowing the system to heal itself and be in top shape as this continues.
And then I would just support a general detox protocol, which would be through maybe magnesium or Epsom salts baths, taking a magnesium supplement, eating healthy. If you have any fish oil and you're not opposed to taking it, I would recommend you take a daily dose of fish oil. It's a direct source of EPA and DHA. The EPA is hard to get from a plant source, and it's a very powerful anti-inflammatory for the body. So especially right now, or if you especially feel like you're needing to be heightening your support of your immune system, maybe even, at least for a little while, do 2,000 or 3,000 milligrams a day, which would be usually 2 or 3 capsules if you have capsules.
What's the, for anybody that wants to speak to, what's the feel on elderberry right now? I've heard both, But it's excellent. And then I've heard, again, it's so hard right now with the disinformation. Shannon,
So,
or Arlene?
I know
or-
Andrew Weil in Integrative Medicine with Arizona, they released a statement, and there's basically no evidence, not much evidence either way. Because of that, the Integrative Medicine Center of Arizona, they decided to just say, if you start to have symptoms of COVID-19, to go ahead and stop it. Traditionally, it doesn't really match that use. And so from like maybe herbalist standpoint, for me, I feel comfortable giving it to my kids, but my official recommendation to follow the University of Arizona Integrated Medicine program is to go ahead and stop it, because we don't know. So we don't necessarily want to give information that we don't know about. But traditionally, yes, you can give it during acute illness. It's more of a theoretical concern that it can boost your immune system. Yeah, so there's a lot of information out there. But my official medical stance is to stop it if you start having symptoms of COVID-19.
So
Great, thank you, because I know it's so popular with the flu right now. Go ahead, Shannon.
Yeah. So and that is true. We don't have the information. However, clients of mine, I have suggested for them to take it, but I know their medical history and I know their background and feel it's safe. Same thing with my family. I would not suggest it to anybody who I don't know their background. I think one of the bigger concerns with elderberry at this moment is going to be folks with autoimmune disease, and triggering that immune reaction would be more my concern. So I don't recommend it just to anybody, because even though some people look at it as it's plant medicine, there's no contraindications. There's a lot of contraindications with plant medicine, and you have to make sure you know what you're doing and how you're taking it. I am infusing, right now I'm infusing my elderberry with usnea and astragalus. And so that's what we're infusing with. So I do change my infusions on a regular basis based on the research that I'm reading or what is going around. But right now we're doing a mixture, a infusion, and we do a double infusion as well. And the usnea is growing all around in this area anyway, so you can pretty much get it we just wild harvest it, and astragalus.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and from the homeopathic perspective, for that, to your point about the individual and every case is different, I haven't been giving any homeopathic recommendations. There are definite, what will come out of this will be a single remedy at some point as an overview when you see something like this. I mean, there's been really beautiful success in other countries when there have been epidemics or, specific outbreaks and giving homeopathics preventatively. But right now it's still evolving and seeing the cases. And at the moment, it seems that there are different remedies for different regions as well. There's certain things that are working well in India. And there's been some conversation as well around why there have been fewer cases there right now. And in the homeopathic world, homeopathy is highly used in India. Now, mainstream media doesn't talk about it as much in that regard. But so I've been staying in tune with what's being used in India, but it's showing differently. That's what is more effective in other areas. So with some clients, it's a lot of treating the stressors, like we're talking about the individual aspects that are coming up currently that was already part of their case, a lot of with the anxiety or the worry, and helping to balance their system. But I will happily share once I'm comfortable if there is a prophylactic type of preventative that we're seeing enormous effect with, I will happily share that. But at this point, it's been case by case. I had a family member that was concerned that they were positive, and so I treated them, and thank goodness it came back that they were not. But it's a very interesting time to be in this space of kind of tracking what's going on and wanting to help, but also knowing, seeing the case that as it evolves and as it evolves around the world. So, for me, at this point, recommending anything in particular is not really there at the moment.
I agree with you on that, Carrie. I think it's each individual, because every one of us, not only bio individuals, but we all have our own constitutional energetics as well as our energetics due to stress in life. So where one herb may be wonderful for someone, it may be horrible for another. You know, like turmeric, you know, it's a hot and dry herb. If you've got a hot and dry condition, it's going to make you worse. It's going to make you so much worse. And where, you know, if you're cold and damp and you take turmeric, you're going to see amazing results with that. So I agree with that. I'm sharing my thoughts, and as this develops, I'm kind of following. I've got some ideas with as far as plants that could be used, but I'm doing the same thing. I'm just kind of waiting as it develops. Arlene, did you want to add anything to that, or Amy?
Somebody asked me about if they have a reaction to the fish oil, what else would we recommend? I was going to recommend for anti-inflammatories, if you have access to mushrooms, a lot of the mushrooms are helpful with anti-inflammatory effects. Again, this is always, we're looking at the individual, and you don't want to do something that's going to be counterintuitive to what they present with. Like you said, with turmeric being warming, but if warmth or warming someone's system wasn't an issue, I would also consider frankincense or boswellia. That would be another good anti-inflammatory. But getting back to kind of where we started, circling back around, if you can get outside and do some earthing, there's a lot of negative ions that come from the earth. It helps reconnect you with nature, and there have been published studies about nature bathing. In Japan, they have a special word for it, which is escaping me right now. Thank you. Forest bathing. And it's been proven to help reduce tumors in women with breast cancer specifically.
And I would say, like, if you're in the city and don't have nature nearby, to look at pictures of nature or play nature sounds. Or yeah, if you have like even small plants, just like to put them around where you're going to be by frequently, just to remind you of nature.
Maybe getting some crystals. I don't know which ones would be best at this moment. Carrie, you may have some input into that as far as stones maybe, or quartz versus.
Yeah, I'm in my hand right now. Rose quartz, I highly recommend. This is a heart chakra. I just keep coming back to, this is a huge, where that authentic part comes from, a huge heart chakra, heart-centered time. Also, shungite, black tourmalines, these grounding, pulling the energy out of us. And, and people ask me a lot, well, which hand do I put it in? How do I use it? This is a great chance to play with it and see what feels right to you. If you take a moment to take a breath and tune in with it, you will often feel like a vacuum coming out of one hand versus the other, or it makes you feel spinny or not spinny. Take some time to play with it and see what feels right. And if you do have access to nature, literally the rock that's in your yard, it is holding that energy that all of you are talking about with walking outside. But anything that really connects you to that heart opening aspect. And the part of the grounding I share with people, a meditation and a visualization of imagining that they have like a carousel pole, like everybody has the carousel horses that goes down through the middle of your body. It's kind of like your spinal cord, but not quite. It encompasses that, but it's a little bit in front of it. And it goes straight down through the middle. It's called the central channel. And that connects us to the heavens and also to the earth. And I like to visualize it like those, kind of like a sparkly substance, very fluid, kind of viscous and thick. And because visualization is such a powerful tool, people are becoming more and more comfortable with this around meditation and visualizations and seeing the effects and studies of how it changes blood pressure and changes brain waves. But to imagine that fluid in that carousel pole through your body, and if you can take a moment to just close your eyes and imagine that fluid flowing throughout, you will be amazed that you'll find points that it feels like the drano clog. There'll be areas in your body where you feel like you can't visually move that fluid. And it can be a great tool as well if you don't have access to nature, because you can imagine that pole goes down and connects to the earth. And I think, Amy, like you were talking about the composting, I always encourage clients and friends that you can take that energy that's overwhelming you, move that down into the earth. It welcomes it. You're not poisoning it. You're not being unkind. You are composting that energy. It knows how to transform it, transmute it, and then flow that energy back up through you, up to your heaven connection, whatever that means to you, if it's God, if it's a spiritual connection. This is a beautiful time of faith and spiritual discovery. This is such an amazing opportunity to really feel that and help sustain you through this. And that's that relationship with yourself and that relationship, whatever's bigger than you, that connects us all. And so I just share that meditation, that it's playful and that it's childlike, and it brings you joy and it brings you lightness. Like some of us may have had those fun little tubes as kids that had the tassels on each end. You could flip back and forth, and it had the sparkly gelatinous fluid and it had sparkles in it. Make it as sparkly and light and beautiful, and just have that energy flow through your body. And just take a moment. You know, it doesn't have to be, again, I talk about with people, these are things to be magic wands for you. These are not things to whip yourself. Oh, I didn't do this today and I wasn't that. We have enough of that unkind talk of what are we supposed to be doing with this time, or what am I not getting done? This is an opportunity to really show self-love and take the time to see what you're feeling in your body and transform it, and use those tools that you have, be it a supplement or a crystal or a meditation or walking outside or baking bread or letting your dog lick your face. Like, really, these things have direct effects on all the chakra systems, all of the organs, your mind. And when that stress and that fear dissipates, you're in a healthier state, a more peaceful state, and confident that you can handle what's coming and trust yourself to get through this.
I love that, Carrie. And I was just going to say, this virus has a heaviness to it, an entity about it, a lot of entities in it that want to weigh you down. And so bringing the lightness, bringing joy into your life a little bit each day, and choosing what that's going to be when you get up in the morning can be a very positive influence over your entire day.
That central channel, I feel, is so important. It's what, when people are in the shock of the coronavirus, that's what I'm feeling get locked up, and it's locking up the diaphragm as well. But it can unlock quickly too when you just come to the present and have some fun, have some joy. I know that's can be really hard depending on your situation. And for those that are like first responders that are kind of faced with coronavirus, COVID-19 all the time, it's really, it takes digging really deep into that trust and starting to become comfortable with uncertainty, which is ever present. It's just that we get to feel it a lot more now because we don't have our routines. And so everything feels more uncertain, even though it's not necessarily more uncertain than other times. So, because anything could happen in anyone's life at any moment. And for those, whether you're at home with the kids or you're in the hospitals working with patients, it's stepping into that present moment. So every patient or every person you're with, so say I'm with all of you here right now. I'm here, I'm fully here with all of you. I'm not going through my to-do list. I'm not thinking about other things. I'm here for you. And so to do this throughout your day, to be really present, it's such a great practice. And for those of you that are in the hospitals, it's a great practice because then after that one patient, then you let go completely of that patient energetically and move on to the next one. That way you're not feel this constant drain. It's just staying moment to moment. What do I need to do at this moment? So whether it's like at home, okay, prepare a meal. All right, play with the kids, do some work on the computer. And just break it down like that and becomes much more manageable.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing. We're being in the moment, in this very moment. And we can't, if you're sitting there going through, as Arlene was saying, your to-do list and while you're cooking dinner, it doesn't serve you to do that. And if you're sitting down and you're watching the news and you're thinking about, oh, well, what if this, what if that, be in the moment and just experience the joy and the happiness in that moment. Do not let fear take hold. When fear takes hold and you walk in fear, you're creating stagnation, you're creating tension and tightness. And we don't need that. We need our energy to flow freely. As Carrie was talking about, I know there's a lot of some of you on here that have worked with me, and I explain it as the Tai Chi pole from heaven to earth. And when we're working with energetics and pulling energy down from heaven through the body and allowing that does not serve us into the earth, because the earth is happy to take it. And if you will walk barefoot, it will feel so much better. So much better, and you will feel better. And if you start feeling that mental chatter creeping up, you have to acknowledge it. We've got time. We don't have things to distract us. Acknowledge it and try and take a deep breath, just a deep breath, and recenter. And sit up tall, inflate your belly, feel that breath move through your body. And with the exhale, feel what doesn't serve you leave. You know, is it important? Just enjoy that moment that you're in.
It's a great thing that every breath you have a moment to kind of renew. So if whatever happened the last moment, don't even have to worry about that. You're here now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think we could probably take a couple of questions. If anybody had any questions, and if you want to enter them into the chat, if anybody else have anything else to add?
I'm going to share the document from the Arizona Integrative Medicine, if anyone's interested.
And I also want to say again to really, I think some people have called this the great pause that we're experiencing. I know for some of us, there's the temptation to write that novel that we've been waiting on, or I joke that anybody who has a contractor in their family are going to have an addition done when this is over with. Like, I'm hearing lots of construction going on, and that's wonderful. I'm taking advantage. I'm going to build a fire pit this weekend in my yard. And there's an aspect of doing that's been really beneficial when I've been in nature or baking bread, but I've really been trying to keep myself in check about all of those projects I've had on hold that I've wanted to do. And that's wonderful. And I'm making time for that. But there's also, this time will end. I mean, I know we're all eagerly waiting, and there's going to be different phases, and there's still things coming, but there will be a time when we're asked to return back to the life we were existing in before, even though it will never be the same. There is going to be a return to something. So I really encourage people to cherish this time, to just be kind and rest when they can and be still, to really just sit with themselves, and also do that fabulous art project or the thing that brings you joy and makes you happy. But I'm sensing there's a lot of like, okay, and now I'm going to get this and this and this and this done. And yes, it's great because there's so many things that have been waiting, but also take advantage of this common exhale that's occurring and that we're still getting to enjoy right now, whereas in other parts of the world it's intensifying. So please, everybody, if you can, allow the space for that right now in that self-care, that we're all gonna be transformed by this. And so there's a real opportunity to allow for growth and evolution. And as I mentioned before, really connecting to that spiritual part, whatever that is in you, to really connect with that now, as that can really be such a support to get us through this.
Yeah, I think that this is the time to go deeper, to meditate, to get to know yourself, to allow your body to heal itself, because our bodies know how to heal themselves. They just need a little push sometimes. I think it's time to really think about everything, to think about your connection, your place in this world, and to this earth. and to just breathe, just look around you and see what is, sometimes on the road, the traffic, the anger. Breathe and feel that lightness around you that is not there, and allow the earth to heal during this time. Allow yourself to heal during this time, and remember that yes, we as a world, as a unit, we are not only all connected, and we are experiencing the same thing at the same time. As Carrie was saying, that's a really big thing. However, remember that each of our perceptions is different, and you can change your experience by changing your perception. And there's, that's hard to say during this time, but just take a moment and refocus.
This is our,
Go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
This is our cocoon time. So we get to just really step into that and ask to do what Mother Earth, nature is asking us to do. Because I don't know if some of you have seen, but it says, Mother Nature has sent us all to our rooms to think about what we've done. So it's time to listen, because this is a big warning. And if we don't shift how we are being and what we're doing now, this is not going to be the end of this.
That's right. It's a great time to cocoon. Try to lift yourself, elevate those around you if you can, regenerate, center yourself. And then some of my daily activities, I love a cup of tea, and somebody had written in the comment section, rose tea, and that actually is what I'm having, is rose tea. It's very healing for the heart. They said rose and hawthorn. Hawthorn's a wonderful heart tonic. It can help positively affect higher blood pressure to some degree, and it just calms. Other herbs that you might like to enjoy dabbling with cooking, because this is a great time for creativity, getting to those projects. Using thyme or sage is very helpful, and rosemary. Shannon, I think you said y'all are using oregano in your diffusers. But
Yes.
Easy way to make a lot of things like mint grow wild pretty rampantly around. If you're comfortable harvesting, or Shannon and Carrie,
Well, yeah.
herbs, but you can take a fresh herb, or even maybe that old spice cabinet thing you got when you got married. It's still sitting up in there. Usually the herbs are more potent if they're less than 6 months old, if they're dried, but you can use a teaspoon of dried herb to make a cup of tea and steep it for about 5 minutes, or fresh herb, maybe several teaspoons or a tablespoon, and just kind of grate it up or sprinkle it over your food. It's such a wonderful way, again, to connect with nature and nourish yourself.
There's a lot of medicinal plants in bloom right now. Especially right now, cleavers is growing everywhere, which is one of my favorite immune tonics to move the lymph system and to cleanse the lymph system. I don't recommend anybody to go out and harvest any plants, especially if you do not know how to properly identify these plants, because you can't just go out and harvest if you don't know, you cannot positively identify them. But cleavers is an amazing one. One thing about cleavers is that you cannot use hot water. You have to use cold water, a cold infusion. And it's wonderful to do a honey infusion, a cold infusion, as well as to add with other herbs. But it is also known as cat's tongue. It's a Velcro herb as well. You've probably seen it growing, and then you go to pull it out of your yard and it sticks to your hand, and then you try and pull it off your hand and it's sticking to your wrist. That is basically what it does to the sludge in the lymph system. It goes through and pulls it all out. It pulls out the toxins and helps the lymph system to more move. And henbit is in bloom right now as well. I have seen some bloodroot in bloom, which is a toxic herb. So if you don't know what to do with that, don't even touch it. Also morels. Morels are in bloom. Now that's another dangerous one. If you do not know how to properly identify mushrooms, don't try. There are definitely some poisonous mushrooms out there that are lookalikes, same thing as plants. Dandelions are in bloom, amazing for our immune system and our liver. Every part of the plant is usable. We put henbit and dandelion in our salads. I will make a chickweed dandelion henbit salad. So those were all amazing. One important thing about dandelion is if you are going to harvest dandelion for the root, and it is growing in a yard that has been sprayed with pesticides or fertilizers or toxins, or has been planted in an area that was previously sprayed, do not use the dandelion root at all. In the body, dandelion will help absorb the toxins and clear the liver, and it does the same thing in our ground. So you can plant dandelion in toxic fields and it will absorb all those toxins, all the ground. So, and it's in the root. So if you use it, you're putting those toxins back in your body. So you have to be very careful with that as well. So those are some of them. Pine is, pine trees, pine needles. Piscis was starting to emerge a little bit. The leaves are there. Hasn't quite come into flower, but these are just things you can find growing in our little suburban area here. So yeah. Did anybody else want to add anything? And if not, then we'll say good night. I can't hear you there.
There's some great flower essences that can be really helpful for grounding and to help release nervous tension. And we talked about that on the last podcast that I did. But if you're, one all-purpose would just be 5-flower remedy or rescue remedy, which you can find pretty easily. And then we're making a blend here that's just like really helps you just get in your body, because what happens like when people get into fear mode or just really stressed is they're just kind of zoop, flying out of their body and they feel kind of lightheaded and stuff. So this really helps to bring you back down and ground all that static in your head, those looping thoughts of worry, and it just goes, you just start to be more aware of your feet or the lower half of your body. So that's really neat. White chestnut flower essence is really good for that. And again, we had talked about this in a lot more detail, but that was the last thing I wanted to add for now. I know we're at time.
Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll post this so everybody can look at it again. And I am offering free virtual meditation and Qigong classes for both kids and adults during this time. And please take advantage. Arlene had mentioned lymph pumping and that she has a video to share. Please reach out to her if you're not familiar with it and would like some additional training. So yeah.
Yes, on All Worlds Health Academy. All of our online health classes there, they're half off, or you can bundle it up and you'll get a huge discount. We've never done that before. And we're also doing sliding scale for anyone that needs it.
And same here, offering a different style of consult during this time. So if you're interested in homeopathy or flower essences, or just need a different way of communicating, definitely reach out. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to connect and reach out in a different way at this time, and just grateful for this space. And I really encourage people to get to know Zoom and make your own little communities. It's a friend in England, when they first went to shelter in place there, they were having Skype cocktail dates. So, I think there's some really, as much as I miss the contact with other people, I think there's such a beautiful opportunity for, again, vulnerability and connecting in this way. And, having fun cooking. My partner teases me. He said, this is COVID-19 because you're going to put 19 pounds on me while we're isolated. So, having that humor and lightness, I really appreciate that from him. And there's just a different aspect of friendships and relationships and families that's coming out that I'm grateful for, and just send enormous love to all of you and everyone. And, may you be healthy and happy and blessed and feel connected during this time.
I appreciate everyone coming on. And I hope everyone feels like they got something out of this tonight. We want to use your time wisely. I was just going to also reiterate, we've been doing a group meditation in the morning, me and several colleagues, every morning at 7 this week. And it's been a wonderful way to start the day and just connect. And so I encourage other people out there. We're using Zoom for that, and so can you. And they do free online training. So it's a lot easier than you think, and you can do a free account. So it's simple.
Good night to everyone. Be blessed, abundant blessings.
Thank you. Lots of love.
Thank you.
And Shannon, everybody to kind of connect with what we discussed tonight. I know we've recorded this. Is the best way through your website or social media that we can also share our information, because I'm meeting new people through you and vice versa. My people are getting to meet you. What's the best central point of connection?
So for me, it's through my website, seedsofwellnesscenter.com. And then I use Facebook rarely, but I post to Roswell Farmers Market. And but email if anybody's interested. I'm going to share this video with everybody, with all of you, with Amy and Arlene and you, Carrie, so that you can share it with everybody you know. And I'll post it on Facebook as well. Anybody wanting some gardening tips or advice can always reach out. I'm doing just kind of free little informational for gardening. But I think probably email would probably be best.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'm exowellness.com. If people aren't on social media, feel free to email me there. And also being the homeopath in the practice with Arlene, All World's Health. If a lot of you are in Atlanta, connect through there.
And if anybody
If you're looking for the academy,
go ahead.
I was just saying, if you're wondering where the academy is, if you just go to allworldshealth.com and click on academy, it'll take you right there. So we have all kinds of classes there, from kids meditation to just quickie meditations to help relax, rejuvenate, to a whole homeopathy course. So it's a lot of great information. And I'm going to be putting together something to help the medical professionals, because my colleagues are super stressed. I'm hearing stuff from all over the world, and they really need a lot of help.
Yeah, we need to keep them in our thoughts and prayers, everybody in our thoughts and prayers. This is definitely a time for that meditation and prayer time, connecting as one, and us connecting, everybody connecting to a higher power at this time.
Shannon, you brought us all together tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so glad. I'm so blessed to know each of you, and honored we were all able to get together.
Grateful.
Same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Night.
So much. Bye-bye.
Bye.